It does sound that that was almost one of the design principles that you had in mind was how can we make sure that this is not overfit on that RL? And did you, if you remember, because I know it was 4 years ago, how did you figure out that this is what we're looking for and this is the abstraction layer that we want to play in?
Yeah, so that's a good point. Definitely RL libraries all have this kind of solution where they have a data container that they use, to carry data. And even some of them, I guess, by chance also name it TensorDict is kind of like the generic name. So you might find other TensorDict in other libraries. I guess that here the specificities of TensorDict is really how it blends within the PyTorch ecosystem. So compared to other solutions, we really try TensorDict to have like this one-to-one equivalence with Torch.tensor. So think about this. You have your single tensor and you're writing an optimizer for a single tensor. So you read the Adam paper, for instance, and you go to the algorithm section and you're like, okay, uh, Kinema is giving me like this example of how to write my optimizer, line by line for one particular tensor. So I'm going to rewrite that in PyTorch for one particular tensor. And
Yeah.
then you write this function, and instead of passing a tensor, you pass a TensorDict, and all those mathematical operations, like tensor dot epsilon times epsilon plus blah blah. You do that with a TensorDict, and it's gonna work. Like you can literally write a code for a single tensor and just pass TensorDict instead, and things are gonna work out of the box. And that's really like what distinguishes TensorDict from existing solutions in other RL frameworks, which really build a class for RL use cases, and which is great, like because they don't need to think about anything else. I guess that in our case, we're like, okay, let's try to invest, in making that things bigger and a little bit more ambitious for broader community, which I think is very interesting to talk about here.